Hello guys, Mars Freemans here. With the release of Unreal Engine 5, we have got a useful tool to retarget animations from one character to another one without limiting us to the matching skeleton or the character shape and size. iKeyRig makes it easy to just take any animation and retarget it to Metahuman, Unreal Engine Mannequin, or pretty much any other character. An updated Mixamo animation to Metahuman tutorial been requested a lot for a very long time. I hear you guys. But iKeyRig in early stage were missing few features that makes it beginner friendly. With an update to Unreal Engine 5.1, they have finally added these features. For example, instead of adjusting the pose from the A-pose to the T-pose, now you can use the pose asset to match the source asset pose. So before we are jumping into the tutorial, I want to ask if you're going to find this tutorial useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And guys, let's jump into it. So we're going to start with the Mixamo website. We're going to go to the characters and we're going to download the YRobot. Here we go. And let's press use this character. Then we can go to download. Make sure it's set to FBX binary and we can leave the T-pose. Let's press download. Now we can go to the animations and let's download 3 animations. First one, we're going to download walk. I'm going to use the regular walk. Looks a bit like Conor McGregor walk. Let's download. Make sure it's select to FBX. We're going to change from the skin to without skin because we don't want to download character again. Instead of, we're just going to use the animation. We can leave the 30 frames per second and we're going to select keyframe reduction to none. So next thing, we're going to find some kind of fighting animation. I'm looking for some kind of complicated animations so we can just make sure that our retargeting works. So let's just choose this fist fighting A. Once again, let's go to download. All the settings are the same. Let's press download. And then the last thing is we're going to find something like, I don't know, dance. Let's find some dance moves. Yeah, we're going to find this. We're going to use this house dancing one. And once again, we're just going to download it. For the next step, it's kind of optional, but I suggest you to follow along in this step too. There can be situations where you would like to use root motion option. For example, if you're looking at the walking animation, after the animation loop is done, it basically resets and it's all the time jumping back, and that's something we don't want to. So if we enable the root motion, now we can see it's looping while it's standing in the same place, something similar like its mannequin animation originally under Unreal Engine. As Mixamo Character doesn't have a root bone as it is to the mannequin, we need to use plugin that converts the bone hierarchy to the mannequin one. Evan Ball on the Gumroad has uploaded very useful tool that makes this process very easy. Well, he's giving this wonderful asset for free. If you can, please show some support to the fellow creators. We're going to be using updated version working with Blender 3.30. You select this and you download. So once you're done with the downloading, we can open up the Blender file. Let's go to the folder. So once you're in the folder, there's multiple folders. We can start with anims in. Let's open it up. So all we're going to do is we're just going to copy the animations that we just downloaded from Mixamo, and we're just going to copy them in this folder. We can close the download. Now let's launch the Blender. You don't need to do anything here. We're just going to go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons. Now let's just disable and re-enable animation Miximo Converter. We can close this. We're just making sure that the settings are working how they should by restarting the plugin. Now, let's click here. There's that small arrow over here. And let's select Mixamo. Now, let's just click Batch Converter. And that's it. It can take a while depending from your computer specs. You're going to know it's done when the cube in the scene can disappear. And I'm done. So now we can close the Blender. And if you go to Anims Out, we can see all our animations there. So for the next step, you could either use already existing project or you can make a new one. As a reminder, we are using Unreal Engine 5.1. Let's launch it. So in Unreal Engine project browser, we're just going to go to the games and we're going to select the blank. Don't select third person because we're just going to import necessary assets afterwards. Select the blank, find the folder where you want to save, give it a name, and just create a project. Now inside in the project folder, we're going to create a new folder. Let's call it Mixamo. Open it up and let's create a new folder inside, call it Animations. Now, let's go to Anims Out folder. First, we're going to import the YBot. Let's just drag it into the folder. Just going to move this away a bit. Just press Reset to Default and press Import. So once import is done, we can go to the Animations, open the folder again, and now let's select all 3 animations and just drag them in. I usually like to press again Reset to Default, then deselect Import Mesh, And now in the skeleton, select the Y-bot. Select the Y-bot and press import all since we have 3 animations. In animation folder, we can just open it up and take a look if the animations play well. And this is what I was talking before. In some situations, maybe you would like that your character is just walking and jumping back in case if you want to transition from one animation to another one. But in my case, I want to use enable root motion. So he kind of walks into place, and it's similar to the mannequin animation that we have seen on original character. As I'm using already existing project, my Metahuman is here, but in case if you need to download the Metahuman, you can go to the Windows, Quick Cell Bridge, Metahumans, and you can download any of the Metahuman presets, or you can download your own Metahuman. Once you're done to downloading the Metahumans, we're gonna go to Metahuman folder, and we're gonna go to the filters, animation, and select IQ Rig, so it appears here. We're gonna open it up. The Unreal Engine is using something called IQ Rig, which works similar like old retargeting in Unreal Engine 4, where you're basically mapping the bones. But where the new system really shines is if we go to the character, bones, and all hierarchy. Previously, we basically needed to match bones 1 to 1. And usually where the problem was, not always you have the same bones. Let's say, for example, we have spine 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Mixamo Character only has spine 1, like spine 0, 1, and 2, and 3. As here is 5 spines, Mixamo Character, for example, has 3. In the old way, we were just skipping 2 spines, but the new way, it's instead of actually mapping particularly bone to bone, now it's creating a chain. As we can here see, it just knows that the spine gonna start with the spine 1 and gonna end with the spine 5. And for the other character, it doesn't matter how many spine bones you have. All it matters and cares about is just the hierarchy. We're gonna recreate the same thing as we can see in the Metahuman IQ. We're gonna go back to the Mixamo folder, and we're gonna make IQ Rig for our Mixamo. Let's make a right click, go to Animations, IQ Rig, IQ Rig. We're gonna select Y-bot. Let's open it up. Usually what I like to do is put them side to side so I can more easily see these chains. So similarly like in the old way we were mapping, now we can do the same thing. We're gonna start with the hips, go to the hips, make a right click, and we're gonna select Set Retarget Root, so it knows that basically the whole character starts from there. So the next thing is we're basically gonna follow the Metahuman IQ Rig. As you can see, the first thing in the chain is spine. So we can do the same thing. We're gonna select spine, and while holding shift, we're gonna select spine 2, and we're gonna press Add New Chain. Okay? And for now, we're just gonna cancel this one. Just press off. We don't need it. And we can see the spine is here. So the next thing is left arm. In our case, left arm starts with left arm and ends at left hand. Add new chain. Okay, we can close this. We have left arm. Next thing in the chain is left pinky. We can just move this a bit tiny bit more. We can open the window so I can see exactly where it is. So left pinky, pinky 1, pinky 4, add new chain. Okay, close it. Next thing is left ring. Let's find where's the left ring. Add new chain. Okay, close it. After that, we have a thumb. While holding shift again, let's select all the thumbs, add new chain, and let's close it. I'm just gonna quickly rename this. Left pinky, left ring, left thumb. So the next thing we have left middle. Let's select new chain, middle, close. And the last finger we have left index. Let's select, add new chain. So one of the cool features now in Unreal Engine 5.1 that wasn't in 5.0 is if you select all these left arms and you make a right click, you can mirror chain. Just press OK, close, OK, close, and it basically recreates, it understands that it's for the other side. We can click OK, and it absolutely mirrored everything. We still need to add a few more chains. So if you go down, now we can add right leg. Let's find the leg, right leg, add new chain, right leg, close. You can either select or you can just mirror. Both things work. I'm just gonna mirror, close. And one last thing, there's a lot of unnecessary bones that are not in our Mixamo character, and we don't need to worry about them. We can skip all this. All we need to know is right and left shoulder. So let's start with left. I'm just going to copy the name. So let's left shoulder, add new chain, close. Once again, we can just mirror chain. Okay, close it. And now we need to add the root. Let's find the root. Okay, close. And the last thing is the head. So it starts from the neck to the head. Let's find our neck and end. Add new chain, head, close. So I'm just gonna move this a bit up so you can compare if you have the same chains. Feel free to pause the video and just double check if you have the same starts and the ends and the same chain names, because it's very important. You're gonna make it easier to map. So now we need to add something called IK solver. What exactly it does, I will explain later when we're gonna get to actual retargeting. For now, let's just go add new solver, full body IK. We can actually now move this to the full screen since we don't need to compare anything. Make sure that this is selected. Go to hips, make a right click, and set root bone on the selected solver. Next thing, we need to find the left hand. We're gonna make a right click, and we're gonna click new IK goal, assign goal. Now you can see we have square. Now the next goal we need to select is right hand, and again, and we need to do the same thing for the legs. Instead of selecting the end, we're gonna select left toe base, and now we're gonna do the same thing for the right toe base, new IK goal. Now, next thing is we're gonna quickly check that left arm has IK goal, left hand, yes. Right arm has a goal here. And we're gonna need to add manually for the legs because the ends doesn't match. And then for the right leg, we're gonna select right toe base goal. And for the left leg, we're gonna select left toe base goal. So now what we can do with these ends is, this is basically the core thing how we can move our character. And right now we can break it. So if we make this and we select some kind of pose, we can see what the solver does. I'm gonna make some kind of pose right now. I'm gonna try to break it as much as I can. I suggest you too. Try to break your character. So right now, our character doesn't look good, right? In case if you have some kind of yoga animation, this is how our character would look, and it's just not good, right? There is something called IB bone settings, and we can adjust stiffness. So basically it's going to be influence how much animation and other bones impact that particular bone. We can adjust the angles. We can set up limitations for particular angles, and that's what we're going to do. We can see that for pelvis, it's select stiffness to 1. For spine is 189. What numbers usually I like to do is for the hips, click the hips, make sure this is selected again, make hips, add setting to selected bone. I'm going to move this down, and we're going to select rotation stiffness to 1. Now we can see immediately our hips are in way more better place. Now we're going to select the spine. We're going to select again, add setting. And usually for here, I like to use 0.85. Then for spine 1, we're going to add another setting. Click the setting, 0.95. And for the spine 2, we can again select 0.95. You again can play with the numbers. It's just something that I put very similar how it is for the Metahuman. So this part is now fixed. Now the next thing we're going to take a look is shoulders. Naturally, our shoulders just move forwards and they don't make some kind of weird things in rotations. So we can select the shoulder, left shoulder, add a setting, and we can add again stiffness to 1. And we can see immediately it's in place. And we're going to do the same thing for right shoulder. And we're going to put again 1. So the last thing we kind of need to fix is our legs. If you take a look at the leg, this doesn't look good. So we can see that our feet actually doesn't look good, and our knee. So if we can select the knee, left leg, we can add a setting. And if we scroll down, we have preferred angles. You can experiment with the numbers so you can see kind of what it does. But we can see if we decrease the preferred angle, how we want it to allow to bend, what exactly we are influencing. So usually the number I use is -90, and immediately it's fixed the knee here. And we're going to do the same thing for right leg, add a setting, select the setting, preferred angles, -90. We can just double check. Also for this, yeah, everything looks fine. We can select left foot, add a setting, select the setting, and we're going to go to the limiters. It's basically the angle limits how far it can bend. So we're going to it's on the X. We can select limited. And I could go for like -10 and 50. And again, these are the numbers. You just can kind of experiment, whatever works. I can find these numbers work for me. But as always, if you see some kind of weirdnesses with your feet, you can always just come back. And we're going to do the same thing for right foot. Limited, -10 and 50. Next thing we need to do is we need to make something called Retargeter. That's going to be the core thing that's going to retarget animations from one to the other one. We can make a right click, go to animation, IK rig, IK Retargeter. Pick IK rig to copy animations from. We want to copy animations from the Ybot. You can give any name what you want. Let's just open it up. Let's zoom it in. We're going to go to bones. I'm just going to make it draw distance a bit smaller because that was just ridiculous. We can make it 1. And here we can now add a target. So in our case, we can add Metahuman. And we're just going to use the target mesh offset for the preview. We're going to move to the side. As we know, the Metahumans are 2 separate pieces, so that's why we don't have a head. But that's completely fine. Exactly, now we can see where the issue is. Mixamo character is in the T-Pose, and the Unreal Engine character, the Metahuman, is in the A-Pose. And the issue that it makes is, for example, if we upload walking, some weirdnesses are happening. It just doesn't look good. And if we put something like fist fight, arms are going into the body and some weird things. It's just because the base pose is not correct. There are 2 ways how you can do it, solve it. So first one is you can just create a new pose, create a pose, edit pose, and you can kind of manually match the T-pose. That's how it was in Unreal Engine 5.0, but it's actually very hard to match perfectly the T-pose, and most of the time it's still gonna look, there's gonna be a lot of weirdnesses. The other way now in Unreal Engine 5.1 is you can add import pose asset. So you would just need to have Metahuman in the T-pose and you could just use the asset for it. I don't have a T-pose animation for my Metahuman, but I have T-pose for the Unreal Engine mannequin. So we're just gonna use that one to retarget animations of the Metahuman, and that's so on. We're gonna use this pose to retarget animations for Mixamo. You can find Many's T-pose animation in my Discord channel. This Discord link is down below. So first we're gonna create a new folder called animations. Now we need to import the Many in our scene. Let's create add featured content packs, and let's select third person. Add to the project. Now we added basically the third person project in our project. We can close it. We can go back to content. Let's open up animation folder, take a T-pose asset from my Discord, and just drag and drop it in. So for the skeleton, we're just gonna select escape mannequin and press import. So now we have Many with the T-pose. So next thing, we need to make a retargeter from the Many to the Metahuman so we can retarget the animation. So let's go to the characters, mannequins, rigs, and let's create a new rig. Animations, IK rig, IK retargeter. We're gonna use mannequin. Let's open it up, scroll out. Now we're gonna add Metahuman, IK rig. We can move the asset to the side. As they both are in the same pose, retargeting is very easy. All we're gonna need to do is just create a new pose. Now in the asset browser, we're just gonna find T-pose, double click it. Let's make sure it looks good. Everything looks great. Let's find it again, click on it, and select export selected animations. Find a place where to save it. I'm just gonna save it here and export. And now what we need to do is make a right click, create a pose asset. Accept. Now we can go back to this and we can select import pose asset. We can select T-pose, Metahuman T-pose pose asset. Import new retargeting pose, and voila. Now we have T-pose for our character. Now if we press walking, the character looks way better, but we still can see some issues with the fingers. And the issue is, if we go to the chain mapping, I'm just gonna move this up. Remember I told you there is these extra bones that Mixamo character doesn't have? The problem is auto mapping actually auto maps these chains, and sometimes it just puts where it thinks it should be. So we kind of are facing right now incorrect mapping. So we're just going to remove the bone chains that actually we are not using. We are using root, spine, head, shoulder, left arm. This is going to be the first problem. We don't have a meat clap. So let's just select the none. We don't use this. We don't have middle. As we can see, already arm is fixing itself right now. Left middle we don't have this. Left index we don't have any of these twists. So we can just start to select them to none. We can select them to none. Right, yes, right arm. Once again, we don't have it. We have pinky, we have a ring, we have thumb. We don't have for the middle. Right middle, index, we don't have. We have index. Now, lower arm twist, we don't have any of these. So we're just gonna we're gonna remove this. Right leg we have. Then again, we can see this bone is just retargeted to the shoulder. We could create another extra issues. We don't need it. Left leg, we have. Twist, none, 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 and none. Great. So now, if you play our animation, it looks great. And basically, it's retargeted. We can just quickly double check other animations, like dancing, like fist fight. Always like pause it somewhere just to make sure it looks good. It looks great. So this time we don't have any visible issues, at least I don't see. But for example, there may be some animations that if you play and for example your hand goes in your leg, and the fix for that would be you go to the chain mapping, find a hand, and we can find right arm. So we need something that has a key goal, and this is the reason why we were setting these goals. And we have this offset. So for example, we would need to move the arm to some kind of offset. Oh, that's actually the left arm. Let's find the left arm. So if we would need to kind of make an offset, for example, standard animation when we start it would be like this, we would just adjust this number and fix it. That's why it's very important kind of to pick up some few complicated animations just to make sure that hand is not going through a body and stuff like that. But you can always fix it here, and you can also use this to kind of, you can adjust the blending. The last thing we just need to do is select all animations. We're going to press selected exported animations, find the folder where you would like to export, and just press export. And we can just now open it up and double check the animations. Let's open the fist fight. This looks great. And we can add walking. And oh, our walking animation is not playing correctly. It's supposed to have root motion. Let's double check the settings, and it is. If we play and make this tick, nothing happens. It's still walking forward. And I don't know if it's a bug or it's supposed to be like that, but there's a workaround how you can fix this, because it actually needed to bake in this root motion and actually needs to walk into place. Let's delete this one. Let's just delete all the animations just in case. We can delete all of them. Go back and we click on that root. We're gonna need to send translation mode from none to globally scaled. If we re-export all the animations, go again, I can export them. So now if you open the walking animation, the root motion is working, and we can disable it and we can enable it. Here you go. Now we can just drop our character, our metahuman into the world and see if the animations are working. So let's find a metahuman. I'm just gonna drop my character into the world. And now my character is put into the world. So if I click on the body, I screw up. I'm just going to select animation assets, and I'm just going to use one of these. Let's say walking animation, and we're just going to press simulate, and we can see our characters walking. And here you go. We have successfully retargeted our animations. And you can use the same workflow to transfer your animations to any character, any shape. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye!